Welcome to the shadow frequency, where the veil between this world and the next grows thin, and the things that whisper in the dark are given voice. From the cryptic candlelit studios, deep in the Indiana forests, your host, Matt Wilson, and his spectral producer, Juniper Ravenwood, unearth the forbidden, the forgotten, and the fearsome. So, still your heart, dim the light, and listen closely. For once you tune into the shadow frequency, you may never tune out.
Welcome back to the shadow frequency, where the signal is never clean, the static is never empty, and sometimes the strangest stories arrive with the softest voices. I'm Juniper, and tonight the studio feels a little different, quieter, almost like the room is listening before we are. And after the last episode got us wandering through the unsettling territory of past lives, childhood memories, and the idea that something may follow us from one existence into the next, we started asking a question that feels even bigger. What if some children aren't just remembering another life? What if they're remembering another world? So tonight, I'm reaching into the case file and pulling out episode 338, Starseed Children, Memories from Other Worlds. This is a strange one. Across the world, parents have reported children who speak with eerie certainty about places they've never been. Not another town, not another country, not even another time on Earth, but other planets, distant star systems, cities of light, strange beings, and families somewhere beyond the night sky. These children are often described as sensitive, intuitive, emotionally intense, and sometimes deeply uncomfortable with life here. Some say Earth is not their real home. Some say they were sent here. Some say they remember the stars. And that's what makes this topic so compelling. It sits somewhere between reincarnation, UFO contact lore, New Age spirituality, childhood mystery, and that old haunting question humans have always asked when we stare into the dark. Are we really from here? Chris, I'll start with you. What do you make of a child looking up at the stars and saying calmly, "That's where I'm from"?
Honestly, June, that's the sort of thing that would stop me cold. Kids say odd things all the time, of course, but there's a difference between make-believe and that little voice of certainty. If a child says it like they're remembering directions home, that gets under your skin.
Exactly. It's not just the words, it's the way the words arrive. Matt, what about you? This one feels like it reaches into past lives, UFOs, and maybe something even older than both.
Yeah, it does. And I think what makes it creepy is that children are sometimes too young to know how strange their own statements are.
Right.
They'll just say it. No dramatic setup, no performance, just, "I used to live somewhere else," or "I came here for a reason." That's when the room changes.
The room changes, and maybe the sky does too. And with that, Matt, bring us in.
You are tuned to the shadow frequency, where every whisper tells a story from beyond the veil. Hosted by Matt Wilson, produced by Juniper Ravenwood, with Chris Beach. The darkness continues.
Thanks, Juniper, and tonight's case really does feel like one of those files where the paper is ordinary, the words are ordinary, and then suddenly you realize the story is not ordinary at all. We're talking about starseed children, children who are believed in certain spiritual and paranormal circles to carry memories, impressions, or soul connections from places beyond Earth. Not the typical past life claim where a child says they remember being a farmer, a soldier, a mother, a pilot, or someone who lived down the road in another decade. This goes farther out, much farther. These are the accounts where a child points to the night sky and says, "I lived there." Or they describe a home with 2 sons, or a place where no one spoke because thoughts moved directly from one mind to another, or a family they miss even though that family does not exist anywhere on this planet. And the unnerving part is how calm some of these accounts are. No big performance, no horror movie whisper, just a little kid, half asleep in the back seat, staring out at the stars, saying something that makes the parent grip the steering wheel a little tighter, because suddenly the darkness above the highway feels occupied. The idea of star seeds sits in that strange crossroads between reincarnation, alien contact, and New Age spirituality. The basic belief is that some souls originate somewhere else, another planet, another star system, another dimension, or another civilization entirely, and then incarnate here on Earth for a reason. In the lore, people will sometimes connect themselves to Sirius, the Pleiades, Orion, Arcturus, Andromeda, Lyra, and other cosmic names that already carry a kind of ancient magnetism. But when the idea is applied to children, it takes on a very different weight. An adult can read books, join groups, study spiritual traditions, and decide they identify with a cosmic origin story. But a child who wakes from a dream crying because they want to go back, a child who insists the stars are not just lights, but places, that is where the story becomes harder to shake. Because parents in these accounts often describe the same cluster of traits. The child is unusually sensitive, overwhelmed by loud rooms, disturbed by cruelty, fascinated by space, drawn to ancient mysteries, or convinced they are here for some kind of purpose they cannot fully explain. It is as if something inside them is homesick before they have lived long enough to understand homesickness. Now I'm opening up the file here, and the first thing I'm going to pull out is a photocopy of a little title page and a few highlighted notes tied to Brad Steiger's 1970s writing about star people. That matters because this isn't just something that appeared yesterday on social media. The language has changed, the communities have moved online, and now you'll find starseed discussions on TikTok, YouTube, podcasts, forums, and spiritual websites. But the roots reach back into UFO contactee culture and the age of Aquarius. Back then, the idea was that certain people might have extraterrestrial origins or connections, not necessarily in the nuts and bolts sense of an alien walking into a nursery, but in a soul sense, a consciousness sense, a cosmic lineage sense. And that is important for tonight because the children in these stories are not usually saying, "I saw a flying saucer once." They're saying, "I remember before." They're saying, "My real body wasn't like this." They're saying, "There was a place where the light was blue." Those are not the usual childhood monsters under the bed. That is something staring back from above the bed. And once you begin reading these accounts, certain images keep appearing. Children talk about bright rooms. They describe small beings or tall beings, sometimes gentle, sometimes impossible to name. They talk about communication without voices, like thoughts being placed directly into them. Some describe craft in the sky not as machines, but as familiar things, almost like vehicles they used to know. Others talk about having a mission, to help people, to heal people, to stop humans from hurting each other, to remind the world of something it has forgotten. That mission language is central to starseed belief. These children are not always portrayed as visitors by accident. They are sometimes described as old souls sent into ordinary families during extraordinary times. And imagine that as a parent. You tuck your child in, you adjust the blanket, you turn on the nightlight, and then your child looks at you with complete seriousness and says, "I came here because people are going to need help." That is not a bedtime delay tactic. That is the kind of sentence that follows you into the hallway. There are related ideas too. Indigo children, crystal children, rainbow children, names that emerged in New Age circles to describe children believed to be spiritually advanced, unusually empathetic, rebellious against broken systems, gentle healers, or signs of a coming shift in human consciousness. And whether someone believes those labels literally or symbolically, they all point to the same deeper theme. The child who seems out of step with the world because maybe, just maybe, the child belongs to something larger than the world. Starseed children fit into the same constellation of belief, but they add the cosmic memory. They do not just feel different, they may claim to remember difference. They may describe another sky, another body, another language, another family, another place where sadness did not feel the same way it feels here. And that is what gives this topic its ache. It is not just spooky, it is lonely. It is the idea that a child could be sitting at the breakfast table swinging their feet above the floor eating cereal, while somewhere inside them is the memory of a world no one else in the room can see. And this is where the first half of tonight's story leaves us, not with proof, not with a neat answer, but with the image of children all over the world saying things that sound less like invention and more like return. a little boy who stares too long at Orion, a little girl who says she misses the blue people, a child who draws the same circular city over and over again and insists the buildings used to sing, a parent who laughs at first, then writes it down, then stops laughing when the details keep coming back. If these are memories, then they are memories from somewhere no map can hold. If these are messages, then they are arriving in the smallest possible voices. And if even one of these children is remembering what they say they are remembering, then every night sky we have ever looked at may be less like empty space and more like a neighborhood we forgot. And that's the part that chills me most, the thought that home may not mean what we think it means.
There's something heartbreaking about that. A child missing a place nobody else can even picture.
And eerie too, because if they're remembering another world, then you have to wonder what else made the trip with them.
Exactly, and in the second half, we're going to dig into where this overlaps with UFO contact, reincarnation research, and the very real question of how careful we need to be when children speak in impossible memories. Juniper, Chris, over to you.
Some children do not look at the stars like they are wondering what is out there. They look at them like they are trying to remember the way home.
That first half leaves us in a strange place, doesn't it? A child pointing to the stars is one thing. A child saying the stars are home is another. And I wonder how many listeners tonight are thinking about something a child once said in their own family. One of those odd little comments that got laughed off at the time but maybe never fully left the room. Chris, take us into the break.
Thanks, June. I have to say, this one has a very quiet creepiness to it. It's not something crashing through the woods or hovering over a field. It's a child, half asleep, saying something that makes the adults in the room go silent. And if you're enjoying the show, give us a like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using. It really does help the algorithms find us and push the signal a little farther into the dark. You can also find us on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast directories. And head over to shadowfrequencypodcast.com for every episode, the companion blog, merch, show notes, and links to every place the show lives. You can support us there by buying us a coffee, and you can also reach out by email or voice message, and your message may be played on a future episode. June, I'll send it back to you for our listener email.
All right, time to wake up the spectral cosmic message materializer. I'm flipping the switches, letting the little glass tubes glow, and watching that long strip of paper crawl out of the mouth of the machine like it has just been dragged through a haunted telegraph line.
Message retrieved from the void.
Let's see what the static brought us tonight. A note from the dark side of the pillow, by the sound of it. Tonight's listener email comes from Darnell in New Haven, and he writes, "Hey, Shadow Frequency crew. My name is Darnell, and I'm listening from New Haven. I used to catch the show on Apple Podcasts after the house has gone quiet. I'll be lying in bed with one earbud in, lights off, trying not to wake anybody up, and then one of your UFO or haunting episodes will get just creepy enough that I end up staring at the ceiling instead of falling asleep. I like the stories where it feels like something is close by but just out of sight. The UFO cases are probably my favorite, but I'm always up for a good haunted location too. Keep the signal glowing above the rooftops, Darnell." Oh, Darnell loved that. Staring at the ceiling instead of falling asleep might honestly be the official Shadow Frequency listening position. Might be a good tagline. And I love "keep the signal glowing above the rooftops." That feels very New Haven at midnight with something strange moving through the clouds. If you'd like to send us a note, you can reach us at shadowpodcast@protonmail.com. And now I'm turning it back over to Chris for a little shadow news.
Thanks, June. Darnell sounds like he knows exactly how to listen to this show. Lights off, one earbud in, and immediately regretting the decision when the room starts feeling too quiet. Now for the shadow news. A new warning from researchers says the next big AI risk may not be artificial general intelligence at all, but systems that can evolve in open-ended ways, adapting and improving beyond what their creators intended. In a new paper, scientists argue that evolving AI could become harder to control because evolution tends to reward self-preservation, not obedience. They say safeguards need to be in place now, especially keeping any kind of self-replication firmly under human control. June, I'll send it back to you to get ready for the second half.
That is one of those stories that sounds like science news until you realize it has the bones of a horror story. Machines that improve, adapt, reproduce, and then maybe decide the people who built them are just an obstacle. Lovely. Absolutely relaxing. And it actually fits tonight in a strange way because both stories are about consciousness, origin, and purpose. A child saying, "I came here for a mission," a machine being warned not to develop one of its own. Either way, we are asking what happens when something arrives among us with memories, instincts, or goals we do not fully understand. Matt, take us into the second half.
If starseed children are only imagining other worlds, then imagination may be stranger than we ever gave it credit for. But if they are remembering, then Earth may not be the beginning of every story.
Thanks, Juniper and Darnell. If you're listening tonight in bed with one earbud in, this is probably the part where the ceiling starts looking a little too much like deep space. And Chris's AI story is a good reminder that we keep circling the same uncomfortable question in different forms. What happens when intelligence carries a purpose we didn't assign to it? With starseed children, that question becomes softer, more emotional, but maybe even stranger. Because the claim isn't that a machine has begun to evolve, the claim is that a child may have arrived already carrying something, a memory, a longing, a mission, a piece of consciousness that does not begin at birth. And that brings us to the connection between starseed lore and reincarnation research. Most documented child past life cases involve ordinary earthly details: a previous name, a place, a death, a family. But starseed claims stretch that same idea beyond the planet. If consciousness can carry memory from one life to another, believers ask, why assume Earth is the only stage where that could happen? Why assume the soul, if it exists, obeys our geography? Now I'm pulling something else from the file here, and this one is grounded, a printed research summary from the University of Virginia's Division of Perceptual Studies, the group long associated with collecting cases of children who report memories of previous lives. Their work is important because it gives tonight's topic a real-world bridge. We are not saying their research proves starseed children. That is not what it does. But it does show that serious researchers have spent decades looking at young children who speak about lives they should not remember, often starting around 2, 3, 4, or 5 years old, and sometimes describing details that families later try to compare with records or known people. In many of those earthly cases, the memories fade as the child grows older, and that detail hits hard when you place it beside starseed stories, because many parents in these accounts say the same thing. The child used to talk about the other place constantly, then less often, then only in dreams, and then maybe not at all, as if Earth slowly teaches them to forget the stars. The UFO connection is where this topic really begins to hum. Starseed accounts often overlap with contactee stories and abduction-like imagery, though usually with a more spiritual tone. Bright rooms, silent communication, beings who feel familiar instead of frightening, a sense of being watched, guided, or prepared. Some children reportedly talk about being shown Earth before they came here, or being told they had work to do, or by choosing a family because that family needed them. Those ideas echo older UFO contact stories where extraterrestrial beings warn humanity about war, environmental destruction, nuclear danger, or spiritual decline. In the starseed version, though, the messenger does not arrive in a silver suit on a desert road. The messenger is sitting in a booster seat asking why people here are so loud, so angry, and so sad. That's what makes it eerie. The cosmic warning is not booming from the sky. It is coming from the back seat of a minivan while the radio plays and the parent wonders whether to answer or simply keep driving into the dark. Now, here's the one careful skeptical angle we have to include because with children, the responsibility is bigger than the mystery. Children are imaginative. Children dream vividly. Children absorb language, emotion, television, family beliefs, internet clips, overheard conversations, and adult reactions in ways that can shape what they say next. A parent who becomes fascinated by one strange comment may unintentionally invite more details, not through dishonesty, but through attention, and labels can become heavy. Calling a child a starseed may feel beautiful to one family, but it can also place a burden on a child who is still learning who they are. Sensitivity, anxiety, giftedness, neurodivergence, loneliness, and creativity can all look like otherworldliness through the right lens. That does not erase the mystery. It just means the mystery needs compassion. If a child says, "I'm not from here," maybe the first response should not be, "Prove it." Maybe it should be, "Tell me what it feels like." Because whether the origin is cosmic, psychological, spiritual, or emotional, the child may still be telling us something true about the loneliness inside them. And that may be why starseed children endure as a modern legend. This belief gives shape to a feeling many people recognize, the feeling of being misplaced, the sense that Earth is beautiful but brutal, the idea that human life is full of noise and conflict. Yet somewhere beyond all this, there might be a quieter home, a wiser civilization, a memory of peace. Maybe these children are repeating spiritual stories they absorbed. Maybe they are dreaming in symbols. Maybe they are expressing the old human ache to belong somewhere less broken. Or maybe, just maybe, a few of them are remembering something we do not have the language to measure yet. That is the part I keep coming back to. Not proof, not certainty, just that image. A child at the window, face silvered by moonlight, looking past the glass, past the clouds, past everything we call reality, and whispering good night to a place no one else can see. Maybe the most unsettling part of the starseed mystery is not whether these children are right, it's that some of them seem too young to know the loneliness they're describing.
That's exactly it. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's just a tiny voice saying something enormous, and suddenly the whole universe feels closer.
And I'll admit the skeptical side makes sense, but it doesn't make the stories any less haunting. Sometimes an explanation can be reasonable and still leave a shadow behind it.
That's where I land too. Whether these children are remembering other worlds, giving shape to dreams, or carrying some deeper spiritual echo, the question stays with us. When a child looks up at the stars and says, "That's home," maybe we should listen very carefully before the memory fades. Juniper, I'll turn it back over to you.
The mystery is not just that children claim to remember lives among the stars. It is that they sometimes speak with the quiet certainty of someone describing a place they miss.
Tonight, we explored starseed children, those strange and emotional accounts of children who seem to remember not another life on Earth, but another home somewhere beyond it. We talked about cosmic origins, spiritual missions, UFO contact lore, reincarnation research, indigo and crystal children, and the careful balance between wonder and responsibility when children speak in impossible memories. If tonight's episode stirred up a story in your own family, or if someone you know once said something strange about the stars, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at shadowpodcast@protonmail.com. Also, make sure you stop by our website. It is shadowfrequencypodcast.com. You'll find all the episodes, our show notes, our companion blog, merchandise, and links to everything we do. And of course, come back for the next strange case, because the signal is still moving and we are still listening. You guys won't say goodnight.
Good night, folks. Keep your eyes on the sky, but maybe keep one foot firmly on the ground. These stories have a way of making the universe feel a little too personal.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for spending part of your night with us. And next time you look up at the stars, maybe don't just wonder what's out there. Wonder what might be looking back.
Good night from all of us at The Shadow Frequency. Sleep well, keep the static low, and if a child tells you they remember another sky, maybe don't be too quick to close the window.
This episode was conjured with a solemn vow to explore the unexplained while remaining bound to the truths that have been unearthed. All interpretations are speculative and offered only for your enlightenment and your entertainment.